Right beside old Unit 3 sits a shell-marked waste you see. Tanks of resin stacked with care, holding what the pumps caught there. TEPCO field 2 plans to show. One says yes, the other no. Each awaits a coming call. Neither clears the path at all. Less than a gram, that's what they've got from Unit 2, and that was a lot. Fuel remains in buried rooms while they measure water plumes. Early 30s, so they say, when the work might get underway. Decommission down the line, mid-century's hopeful sign. 880 tons remain, none retrieved from 3's domain. They debate what space to claim, still the Buildington stays the same. Less than a gram, that's what they've got from Unit 2, a careful shot, not from 3, not from 4. Still they work around the door. Less than a gram, still asking for
If that wasn't beautiful, what friggin' is? That's amazing. That's an amazing song. Less than a gram. Hello, everybody. My apologies. Not everything goes according to plans around here. I put a link to that site where that music is to, where all the music is to that we're using. Excuse me. Less than a gram is that song right there. I got a highlighter for you. And I just put a link in the description for you. Hello, everybody. Yeah, they are just amazing graphics. Hi, everybody. Is South Korea right to still ban radioactive food from 8 deadly, did I spell that wrong or something? Japanese prefectures? Here we go. Yeah, not every... Japanese food ban by South Korea is 8 prefectures. China is still 10 prefectures. 55 countries banned it originally for over a decade. 20 countries still have a ban. And the other 30 are scumbags that removed the ban. The industry is just, the nuclear industry is completely out of control. It has no right to exist. When you look at their entire legacy and the emissions from the 1,000 fuel pools worldwide, I'm pretty sure I got a strong case. I got an extraordinary case. It's like that song we were just listening to, man. That the nuclear industry never saw that coming. I can tell you that much right now. They didn't see that coming. They don't understand how powerful that is going to be over the number of years. That music will unite this planet against the entire industry, I can guarantee you. I'm going to help push it over the edge, mind you, but music resonates for everybody. A global ocean model study by the University of Tokyo a global ocean model, a model. And therefore, they're going to use that to quantify that everything is safe and that nothing got out of the buildings. This is the official story. I'm a little bit... Whenever a show is delayed, it's always difficult to... Because everything's psyched... I get all psyched up for the start of the show. Remember, I've been doing this for so long. Just this site alone has around 900 shows. Presentation, lectures. We call them shows because it sounds kind of pompous to call it lectures. But clearly that's what I do. What I do is lectures, right? Hello, everybody. All right. Slowly back up to speed here. Less than a gram. Who would think you can make a song out of that? Who the hell would sit there and think they could write a song like that? Besides James. I would have never dreamt you could write a song. Certainly something so beautiful. About less than a gram. It's not a topic that's like, oh shit, I should write a song about it. It's like, it's unique. There's no other way to describe it. It's unique. Like you're unique. You're here because you have a moral compass that dwarfs most of the planet. So, the Fisher story is less than a gram got out of all the buildings. Over 30 years or something, right? Industry's insane. This was March the 15th, day 4 of Fukushima event, catastrophic event for the 8 million species and humanity. And you're looking at 4 reactors melted down in a row. At the top of each of the buildings were decades of reactor cores in what's known as the stupidest thing on the planet, fuel pools. Now look at these buildings. Do they look anything like the picture that they're showing you? Clearly, after 14 years, if you don't know, Fukushima doesn't look like that. But this is social engineering, right? Because a lot of people, they'll glance at it to see Fukushima, and they'll look at it, well, it doesn't look too bad. And you can see all kinds of construction. So it looks like this was Fukushima's site originally picture, but they superimposed the Dini plant, which is an identical plant, but you can see the destruction down on the coastline. The buildings are actually destroyed. The buildings don't even exist. No, they're beautiful, Dan. There's the buttercups and, and seahorses. And I actually discovered seahorses out in British Columbia. Nobody believed me. There ain't no seahorses out here. Well, why would I lie about it? Genius. And to this day, nobody believes me. But I worked on the ocean floor as a commercial diver, and there were seahorses. It was up in Poacher's Narrows. Which used to be one of the most magical places for cockles, which are clam, a special type of clam, a very thick clam, and they taste like lobsters, particularly if you use garlic butter with it. And you'll see them in the sand where they're at low tide, they're spitting water, and you know that's a cockle. They'll spit it far distances. And look at this, they actually put Tritium 3H. Tritium 3H. And maybe once a year, once every 2 years, we'll see them use the actual proper name of anthropogenic man-made radiation, Tritium 3H. But then the whole story is full of propaganda and deceit and dishonesty, and they show you buildings they show you the destruction down on the coastline, but then they show you brand new buildings. And back behind it is the common spent fuel pool. That's the Dini site, right? It's the exact same replica, but Fukushima actually looks like that. So they superimposed the Dini, I'm assuming that's what they've done, they superimposed the Dini over the tsunami wreckage. What are you going to do, man? A half-life of 32 years. Like the half-life of tritium 3H is 12 years. 11 years, 9 months, whatever. It's basically 12 years, not 32 years. His lifespan is, because there's 10 half-lives, terrible, terrible industry. Natural, well, tritium 3H is not formed in the atmosphere by cosmic ray interaction. Tritium is, but not tritium 3H, which is man-made. We call it 3H because it's man-made. What are you going to do with a bunch of scumbags? I think these people should go to jail for what they're doing, just for telling these lies. And there's a reason for that, because this stuff is very dangerous to everything with replicating cells. And there should be harsh penalties for people that downplay it, misrepresent it. It's like, imagine if some outstanding community member in your community was giving your children cyanide tablets and telling them it's candy and they get sick and died or whatever. And no, we're protected. It's the nuclear industry, so it's not illegal to kill you with cyanide because we're the nuclear industry. But that's how the nuclear industry works. It's not illegal to kill you with radiation because it's the nuclear industry and they have manipulated your entire planet into accepting that. I don't accept it. I reject it, and you should too, and everybody else will eventually. Artificial produced in nuclear reactors, lithium irradiation fission byproduct. So, you can't have natural anthropogenic man-made radiation and anthropogenic man-made radiation. The natural stuff is not anthropogenic man-made radiation. That's tritium 3H. But they like to conflate the natural with the anthropogenic stuff, and then leaves you with you don't have anywhere to turn to. You don't have anybody out there, any descending voices to articulate the difference. Oh, Geiger counter is not playing fair game, is it? Dirty bastard. Excuse me. I get like that sometimes. Just hang on here. I'll fix that. I'll fix that real good. You dirty double crosser. You're gonna get it now, boy. That's close enough, is it? It was not sending hate mail to Dana at WHOGIVEASHIT.com. I put my headphones on that time. I lost the plot in the razors. Never going to shave again. Armpits anyway. Exists mostly as tritiated water in the environment. No, it tritiated all the water on the planet. Everything is tritiated because in the 80 years of emissions from the nuclear industry, Fukushima was a pulse event. But don't worry, Chernobyl was worse than Fukushima, Dana. Come up and say that to me sometime and see what happens. See what the result of that insult will be. I'll sort you out good. You'll get the biggest Ouija you ever got in your life. Delusion in oceans has drastically reduced the impacts. You can't reduce the impacts. You just spread it out and make it worse. You can't even incinerate radiation. And the cowards don't even put their names on the story. They just pop that out there. Google puts it up on the front page. A nuclear power facility in Kuma. What is it? It's not a nuclear power facility. It doesn't exist anymore. It's completely destroyed. There is no nuclear power at that facility. It's the biggest industrial disaster in human history. Unless we have a pulse event from the sun that takes all the reactors out at the one time, it'll probably be the worst one on the planet. Hopefully it'll be the worst one on the planet. Hopefully we don't have an even worse one happen. But if you look at all the fuel pools on the planet hemorrhaging into the environment every day, 24 hours, there's 1,000 fuel pools full of reactor cores with no containment splitting atoms into your environment. And you're not gone to war? You're not gone to war? Everybody on this planet is so bloody complacent, you're going to regret it. In the future, there'll be 1 million people like me. 1 million tough guys like me will be out there punching back at the nuclear crackhead industry. How are you going to dilute this? How does that work? And to suggest that there's only tritium got out of that, I'll challenge that narrative in a minute, actually. Let's start right now. Xenon-133, gee, that don't sound... That will tritiate everything. So will cesium, so will uranium, so will plutonium. And tritium is just tritiated, is radioactive water. Tritium-3H is an actual isotope. And it's a man-made one. And tritiated water is organically bound, so it's very dangerous ingested, whether through food or any other way, or drinking it, or consuming it, or breathing it. Radioactive Xenon-133 in Washington, 450,000 times above detection levels. It was an invisible plume covering the entire planet, and it can't just be tritium. Hydrogen explosions. These are not hydrogen explosions. These were 1,000 plus pounds per square inch pressure vessels. You had no coolant. You need 6,450,000 one-ton pickup trucks of water every day. You don't get that, it heats up. Does that make sense? I know if I don't drink 6.45 million one-ton pickup trucks of water every day, I heat up. So the reactors would heat up too. Because that's Dana's logic, see? Anybody can understand it. It's pretty straightforward. Radioactive leak. See if you can figure out, I'm going to get out of the way. I'd like somebody to explain to me where in the goodness gracious that place could leak. I can't comprehend how anything can leak out of these buildings. Can anybody wrap their mind around how something could leak out of that? Is there anybody out there that's rational enough? You can call in at 709-589-4406 and explain to me how anything could leak out of that building. Clearly nothing can leak out of it. What the hell can leak out of that? How does something leak out of that? And so the fact that the nuclear industry uses the word leak on something like this tells you that's an industry that you can't coexist with. That is an industry with qualities that are not redeeming. The radioactive fallout covered the entire planet. That means all your water is tritiated in a whole different level than the word tritium or tritiated. This is a cesium-137 study, a spike of 10 million times what it was pre-Fukushima. And cesium-137 pulses 600 feet every second in every direction. This is just a terrible industry. And you can't count the ways. You really can't. You can't. And we tried it. We've done presentations like trying to count the ways how evil this industry is. I'd have to do a show 7 days a week for months to explain to you, to try to explain to you. You have to watch every one of them. You have to take notes, which means you're going to have a volume of notes, at least that thick, of how many ways the nuclear industry has compromised every species and the future of humanity and the ecosystem, the biosphere, the ocean, the fresh water, the salt water, the 8 million species, and the health of everybody on the planet. It's incomprehensible. It's an industry that is so, like a radioactive fallout, just a single atom falling out. If you breathe it in or you're within proximity of it, it's 2 billion times more toxic than industrial poison. Forever. And it's pulsing energy at the speed of light forever. Every second. We don't have anything else on the planet, to compare it to so that I can give you a comparison. It's in its completely own different spectrum. And that spectrum is insanity. This is insanity. You have all your water in your atmosphere, to the ocean floor, all your lakes, every fresh water, everything on the planet is radioactive. tritiated. The word tritiated doesn't work for the enormity of what this industry has got done to you. You're made of water, so you're tritiated. Do you get it? Well, you already got it, so you might as well get it. Radiation levels U.S. coast spiked 1 million times normal after Fukushima. Spiked. The French government. Spiked. That was that study right there. That's only based on 23 days of radioactive fallout. Very high concentrations of hot particles, plutonium and americium. Do you notice none of them mentions the word tritium? Every time you hear the word tritium, you should talk to a prosecutor and try to get this industry. The entire ocean was irradiated in 2013. This model was based on 954 days. This was a German institution. You can kind of make it the name down here. This is just a cesium-137, as if just cesium-137. This is xenon-133 at 450,000 times. A continuous plume covering the planet based on 20 days. Look at Tokyo, at highly radioactive glass. So how does the word tritium work in all of this? And this is why they don't put their names on the articles, by the way, because they don't want their friends and families to appreciate that they don't have any human attributes whatsoever. All the starfish in the Pacific are dead, yeah. Yeah. No truer words ever spoken. Radioactive leaks. Does that look like a radioactive leak? Am I being just too much of a drama queen by saying that that's probably worse than a leak? Calling that a leak is probably inappropriate. At the top of each, this is only 2 of the 4 buildings, by the way. At the top of each of the buildings were 8 more reactor cores. Officially, none of this happened, by the way, according to the crazy lunatics. Less than a gram. That's what they say. Such an appropriate song, isn't it? It's such an iconic song. And you gotta put headphones on and listen to that song and listen to every word in that song. You really got to do it. If you don't do it, I'm going to be very, very upset with you, and you never get a cookie. If you listen to it, I'm going to send you a cookie. I only take half because it's pretty strong. Containment tanks, stored treated wastewater containing trace radionuclides. I had heat stroke this morning. I was out working in the sun. And I was too stupid to go get my cap. I got one of those like Australian caps, right? Covers your ears and protects the back of your neck and everything. It's a cheap one, right? But I was too stupid to go get my cap because I'm tritiated, you know? My whole body's so tritiated. And then I jumped on a motorcycle and I went down, because I always use the motorcycle as much as I can in the summertime, right? Because every time I get on, I feel like I'm 16 years old again. But it allows me to get in all the nooks and crannies, and it's cheap on gas. And we're in a heat wave. We got massive forest fires all around me. And so I had heat stroke this morning at work and for a couple hours. And then I done something even more stupid, and I jumped on the motorcycle and went down. I went about 35 kilometers down the coastline and back, which is about 70 round trip. And it was like a furnace. So I was so dehydrated. I don't know why I'm telling you that story, but I did. Too late. I can't take that one back. And so I ended up taking 2 naps when I came home, like long naps, just in the chair. I hate sleeping in the chair because it's hard on your neck, right? That's how drained I was, my brain and everything. My brain has been drained now for over a week and a half or so. Well, for a month actually, but it's been really bad for the last week and a half. I'm starting to come around a bit. I'm starting to get that, I'm starting to be Dana again, right? I come full circle. I've been through quite a shock in the last month, my whole system. And what we're doing is too important, right? It's just, these shows might not seem it. There's not a lot of people on it. We're not getting a lot of views. That doesn't mean people are not watching. It doesn't mean it's not being posted on other sites, many, many other sites. Right? I can't comprehend after all these years, this dedication, this relentless dedication to trying to wake this planet up, and at least inform the planet, at least educate the planet. And I haven't got anybody else out there showing the documentation. That's fine. That's the way it rolls. But one of the best things that ever happened was James Lucid decided he was going to make music right out of the blue. And he had to work really hard at it. And he had put absurd amount of thought and energy into each song to make it work. And he still does the same thing, right? He's working even harder. And he still even admitted to me, a few weeks back that he's still learning. He's still got a long way to go in his world as far as he's concerned. But the results are just unbelievable. Such a blessing. Because the music gives me energy. Nobody can tell me that it's not good music when it impacts you that way, right? Well, I know good music anyway, but nobody can ever take that away from him. There's that energy, right? The truth, and then he's slowly refining it. According to him, anyway, I think it's wonderful everything he's doing. Right? I'm in awe. But I also understand the incredible... Music is the most powerful weapon on the planet, period. There's no bombs, there's no military, there's no army, there's no navy that can compete with music. Music can unite a planet. I can guarantee you it will. That's a fact. And we're all going to live to see that day, too. I can guarantee you that. So, we got a wreckage down in the front from the tsunami, but the buildings are perfect. But they actually look like that. Even though they put covers over it, that's what they look like under the buildings. Tell me that's not a rotten industry that does stuff like that. Tell me that the people who wrote that story are not horrific traitorous scum. Okay, let's keep going here. We're getting there. Next story is a great story. Japan, the worst humans on the planet is the Japanese government and nuclear industry. The worst humans imaginable. And they were, for 50 years before Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the worst humans imaginable. And now that Fukushima's happened, what they've done is unconscionable. It's unconscionable. That they can ever look in the mirror and say that they're a person or a human or have any human attributes. It's unconscionable that they could even suggest that they're good people to themselves or anybody else. I can tell you right now, they can't look me in the eye, ever. Or you or anybody else. Japan urges South Korea to lift the curbs. The curbs. This is a really good story. You're going to love this. Put a lot of work into this one. Quite proud of it. United States scientists, 2013, finds Fukushima cesium in turtles, whales, and fish. Nothing got out there, only less than a gram of tritium. Which enraged James Lucid so much he wrote a song, a beautiful song, to be the complete opposite of such a horrible lie, which is the most eloquent thing you can do. Shellfish are gone near a damaged nuclear plant, likely extinct because of Fukushima. Japan urges South Korea to lift the curbs on the fishery project. Why would you lift the curbs on a nuclear wasteland when they picked up 30 million one-ton bags, where they had unprecedented 4 reactors and 8 fuel pools meltdown? Why, in goodness sakes, would you ever lift the curbs? Canada had never even had restrictions. Restrictions they might have had, they removed it in 93 days. Well, 55 countries banned the food for over a decade. So all the radioactive food got shipped to Canada. And now Canada's suffering from acute obesity across the entire country, which is a marker of radioactive brain damage after a nuclear accident. They poison us with the help of the pro-nuclear Canadian government. It's just, why so evil, see? Why you got to be so rotten and disgusting and evil? Why is that necessary? Why is that an option? Why would you do something like that? Because you make a big paycheck? Because you think that you're just a small entity? You're doing it because you feel gratification that you can tell your friends you work for the nuclear industry, and therefore they think you're a good person, they think you're special or something like that. None of it makes any sense. And that's what the industry does. It has to pretend that it's a good person, and it's not. It can't be. It could never be. The Japanese agricultural minister, who knows nothing about nuclear, you're talking about an agricultural minister who knows zilch, nothing about nuclear. And that's put on a pedestal, and that's making decisions that's going to end up poisoning hundreds of millions of people each year. Called on South Korea to remove restrictions that are put on imports of nuclear waste that looks like fish product, and not just fish, but it's not just fish, it's the agricultural, because the agricultural minister is not in charge of fish. That's a different minister. He's in charge of agriculture from 8 prefectures and products, fishery products. It's not fishery products from 8 prefectures. It's bananas and potato chips and everything else. South Korea, the administration back in 2011 closed 130 schools in South Korea because of the radioactive fallout from Japan. And it wasn't tritium, it was iodine and cesium. So the rainwater was tritiated, but it was also full of uranium, plutonium, americium, neptunium, strontium, everything else. Cesium-137 hotspots in Seoul, South Korea. The administration that's there now refuses to acknowledge that happened. This is madness, that the entities that you put there to govern your country, you gave them a job and a paycheck, you didn't hire them to do that to you. You didn't hire them so that they would sell you out and murder you in increments with the most deadly toxin in human history. You should be there with pitchforks and torches and burn them out of there. If you had half the fortitude that you think you have, you would burn them out of there, emitting 1,000% of normal background radiation. You can't conflate normal with man-made. That's how we got into this bucket of vomit in the first place. 1,200 kilometers from the nuclear wasteland in Japan. Well, surprise, 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 the whole planet. And so here's South Korea, and here's the agricultural minister, this young man over there, who the first thing he done when he got that position as the agricultural minister was went into the nuclear wasteland, zipped open 1 million+ bags and started growing food in it. He looks like a nice person, a very handsome man, I'm sure, to your left, my other left, my right, because I got myself flipped around. I can do shit like this, see, I'm different, I'm special. I'm special. So special. I just screwed up by being special. See, I can turn myself upside down. You can't do that. You get a headache. Right? All the blood will rush to your ear. I'm actually okay. I can do it all day. I can stay there all day. Blood doesn't rush to my head because I'm special. Now it's to my left. Jeez. To my left. I'm going to have to fix that tomorrow. I screwed up. I like doing that, though, because that works for me, but it's my right. It's not my actual left. It looks like my left. Never mind. Shut up and do the show, dear. South Korea, Japan Foreign Minister, who knows nothing about nuclear, on Monday urged South Korean foreign ministers the scrap restrictions on the nuclear wastelands imposed after Fukushima nuclear meltdown, the disaster at the Fukushima nuclear plant. How can a journalist look anybody in the eyes? How can a journalist tell anybody, their friends and families and everybody else, that they're actually a journalist? How does that work? A journalist is not somebody you covet. A journalist is the opposite of what a human should be. That sounds crazy to anybody that's not informed. It is unusual for a Japanese foreign minister to meet with another country's foreign minister. Think about that statement. It is unusual for a foreign minister, not a fishery minister, but a foreign minister, for rice and potatoes and peaches and everything else. Because that's what was banned in 8 prefectures. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through each prefecture, which is coming up, to meet with another country's foreign minister. I know it's hard to believe, but I wasn't going to do a show tonight. I set the show up by reflex. I woke up and I'm like, and I was like, go to sleep again. It's just heat stroke, eh? Yesterday we were on a long trip doing research. I imported all those pictures, by the way. Let's look at a couple of those pictures. No, let's get through the story first, because it's an important story. I got 2,800 pictures from Friday of the puffins, was 1,300, 1,500 for the gannets and the kittiwakes. And I got about 100 pictures of an eagle getting chased out. And I had just said that, that's funny, I haven't seen any eagles. I think they'd be there feeding, right? And there was a young eagle. He was probably a second year or something. We'll try to find those pictures. I'm going to go backwards. Yeah, I think the heat makes you a little squirrely. Makes your brain a little scrambled. It's okay, because I can be pretty funny. I hate to say that word. I'm already funny looking, but I can be pretty funny too. I have high expectations that relevant ministries will foster smooth communications. Who writes like that? Who talks like that? Towards the swift removal of the ban. Nobody talks like that. Koizumi, which is South Korean foreign minister, told reporters after the meeting he declined to say how Cho responded. Or that's the Japanese guy, I guess. South Korea banned imports of Japanese seafood. It wasn't seafood. It was... The foreign minister is not in charge of seafood. They're in charge of agricultural. Right? So it's really deceptive and dishonest. Some of these prefectures not even by the oceans. Well, they are, I guess, but they're not. Most of it's interior. Aomori, which is up by... oh my goodness, can't even remember the name of the last island. I knew that day was coming. After the nuclear crisis in the Fukushima disease factory, there's no connotations of a nuclear meltdown, a radioactive fallout. Seoul also requires 8 other Japanese prefectures provide certificates of radiation inspection. So there's 16 prefectures. In June, China lifted its ban on Japanese seafood imports imposed in August. That's not true. China's had an import ban since 2011. That was a public relations stunt orchestrated by the degenerate International Atomic Energy Agency. Taiwan, China, South Korea, and Japan had worked together in August 2013 to manipulate people. And people were actually out protesting tritium, as if nothing else happened. When Japan began releasing treated radioactive wastewater from the Fukushima nuclear power plant to the sea, although some restrictions remain. You can't treat this, we're talking about fuel particulates, you're talking about water you're pouring over a nuclear meltdown. You can't treat that, you can't fix that, you can't reclaim that. There is no technology, no science that works that way. There's nothing. There's nothing. I know what you're saying. Dana's got heat stroke. You still got heat stroke. And you're right. You're right. So that first community, there's 8 of them, is up by Hokkaido. It's way up there. They banned the food from way up there. Fukushima's right over here. Right there, somewhere. So that's one place. Iwate is number 2. You can see. Draw your little line. Number 3 is Miyagi. Miyagi. Say it with me. Miyagi. So that's 3 places where the food is banned, agricultural food. Of course, Fukushima, you're insane if you don't ban food from a place where you picked up 30 million one-ton bags of radioactive fallout. You're just as batshit crazy as I am if you don't do that. So that's 4 places. Number 5 was Ibaraki. That's right by Tokyo. And if it's not, well, don't worry, because Gunma is right by Tokyo. Gunma's in interior. They got no fishery. We're talking about agricultural. And Chiba is 20 kilometers. Well, it's basically Tokyo with 36 million people in metropolitan Tokyo. But Chiba's right alongside of it. And the radioactive fallout in Chiba was extraordinary. All of these places should be abandoned permanently. Like, there's 55 countries banned the food from 14 prefectures, not 8. And that means you can never eat food from Japan, let alone 14 prefectures. And these are the big prefectures, it's half the country. Less than a gram. So less than a gram contaminated all of Japan, apparently. That's some madness, because that Fisher story is less than a gram. I mean, clearly nothing else could get out, only less than a gram. Right? The building had a little leak. So because it had a leak, they had to get all these journalists to pretend they were in the building so people wouldn't get nervous. So all the journalists worldwide, not just these 4 sadistic creatures, but all the journalists worldwide pretended that the fuel pool was intact at Reactor 4, which has 8 reactor cores in it. That's gone too. Each one of these reactor cores, by the way, is equal to 100 Chernobyls, and Chernobyl was brutal. Chernobyl's graphite reactor was a brand new reactor. It was a small reactor. Never had no fuel pools. And he closed 9,400 farms in Ireland, Scotland, and the United Kingdom. 9,400 farms. So everything in Japan should be closed, because Japan's not 3,000 kilometers long, right? Or away, rather. Switzerland closed the freshwater fishery for 30 years because of Chernobyl. And Chernobyl, I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, because it's not. It was brutal what Chernobyl done to humanity and the species worldwide. It's brutal. But it's like a feather. It's like a paper towel compared to Fukushima's inventories. Each building had at least 8 or 9 reactor cores. 8 of them had no containment. They were in the fuel pools. All the inventories, the reactors and the fuel pools were at the top of the buildings that don't even exist. And so why would the media, the worldwide media, come out and pretend they're at the top of a building that don't exist? Because it's a catalyst for an extinction event. This is only 8 of the prefectures out of the 14 that were banned by 55 countries. And you have to be insane to visit there. You have to be insane to eat the food from anywhere else. And just because you can't see it or hear it or feel it or taste it or touch it or perceive it, you're making a fatal mistake, because you don't have an autoimmune trigger to defend against anthropogenic man-made radiation. I just got to fix my Geiger counter. A little lopsided up there. Makes me look like I'm lopsided too, see? So I have to fix it because it makes me look better. So which prefecture would you eat food from? Which prefecture would you like to go there? If you're allowed to go there and all expenses are paid, they're gonna have sushi girls, or I'm sorry, they're gonna have can't remember the name of them. You're gonna have girls walking on your back each day, and you're gonna be chauffeured around in a limousine. You're gonna be eating the best food of the best food that the prefectures there can offer you. You're gonna be treated like royalty. Like the streets are gonna be lined with people who are gonna wave at you as you drive by every day. And you got 10 days. You can go there for 10 days. Which prefecture would you go to? If the answer is none, you're one of the smartest people on the planet. Oh, and they're going to give you $1 million too. And you can't spend it because you're going to need that to try to extend your life for a few more years with all the poison that you're going to be breathing and drinking and eating and bathing in. And I wish I was wrong. Right on day one of the event, this is not an accident, this is an event. They built it right alongside the tectonic plates. That's not an accident, that was on purpose. They built it with a 3,000-year legacy of tsunamis up to 300 feet high. That wasn't an accident, that was on purpose. They built it where there's 1,000 earthquakes a year. Less than 100 miles from the tectonic plates where you're guaranteed the worst earthquakes conceivable. On the Ring of Fire. Why would you do that? Where the prevailing winds first cover North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, and then the rest of the planet within 20, 30 days. Why would you do that? Why would you put decades of reactor cores at the top of the buildings? Why would you do that? Because there's no way to separate that from any kind of an accident. That's the worst spot you could put it. There's a name for it. It's called Machiavellian. South Korea banned imports of Japanese seafood in only 8 prefectures. It was originally 14 prefectures, still, by the way. And there's so much corruption. You don't need, what happens is you have a government official that's in charge of protecting you, and they're going to cut your throat the first chance they get. They're going to remove all the restrictions, poison everybody, and they're going to walk away with millions and millions of dollars. And they don't care about you, they don't care about them, they don't care about their own children, they don't care about anybody. The media is never going to rat them out. The universities is never going to say anything to contradict. There's not going to be any dissenting voices allowed publicly, and there's not many of them. There's maybe 5 people on the planet that are honest and concerned, there's more than that, obviously, concerned, I should say. But it's about 5 people that are public, are denouncing this. And that's being whittled away constantly. They almost got rid of me. Theoretically, I should be homeless right now. If some of you wonderful people out there that didn't just say, to hell with this, I'm going to do what I can, I'd be homeless today. I would have been homeless a couple of weeks ago. I might be homeless next month, well, not next month, but the month after. But I think, we're on the right path. But what they done to me was just, they came for me. And the world decided that they weren't going to sit in silence. And thank goodness. Like, I'm in this fight, I can't even describe how committed I am to doing the things I'm doing. And I don't need to, but because anybody that knows me knows how long I've been at this and how much effort and energy we put into this, how dedicated. Like, I'm fighting for everything. I'm fighting for every species, and I'm not fighting alone. Anybody that's here regularly, anybody that supports me, is no different than me. You can't separate them from me. They're not supporting me because they're bored. They're doing it because they have this unbelievable moral compass, and that they absolutely get the enormity of this equation. And it's a difficult equation to get without somebody to articulate it and show you the documentation and walk you through the details, the minutiae of the minutiae. Isn't that a beautiful word, minutiae of the minutiae? It's all it means is the fine details of the fine details of the fine details. And that's how you should explain nuclear, right? It's a minutia and a medusa. It's a brutal medusa. Trust in Japanese food has been fully restored. That's the most insane statement. It's the most insane statement to suggest that. And then the Japanese media has no problem publishing that. Jellyfish swarm forces France's largest nuclear disease factory to shut down. That's a good day for humanity. What does the industry tell everybody in the industry that writes about nuclear? Because what we do a lot of times is we'll cover the nuclear news cycle, what we can get through. And we'll only cover stories, which is every story, unfortunately, where they tell a lie. So a story is only important if they tell a lie, or they actually tell you some useful information, which is extraordinary. It's a very rare thing. Last night's show was one of those very rare shows, by the way, where they actually gave you some information that was useful. So each reactor needs 4,000, each one, not all reactors and the site, but each reactor itself needs approximately 4,500 tons of water a minute, 1 million gallons of water each minute. 1 million gallons of water a minute. And so it's hard to comprehend that. It's hard to wrap your mind around that. You're talking about 6.45 million tons of water in 24 hours. So, it's still hard to comprehend that, right? So what I like to do is I'll say imagine 6,450,000 one-ton pickup trucks, each of them with 1,000 liters, 1 ton of water in the back of it. So 6,450,000 one-ton pickup trucks of water every 24 hours for each reactor. And so that site has 6. So you got to multiply 6.45 million by 6 to get how much water they need in tons each day, each 24-hour period. So how many jellyfish does it take to block that up, I wonder? Oh, and the jellyfish, the warmer the water, the more jellyfish you got. And the reactor is boiling the water, dumping it back into the ocean or rivers or whatever. And so they create these enormous heat zones that are not healthy zones, or by no means, right? France's Gravelines nuclear disease factory, the largest in Western Europe, was fully shut down on Monday after a massive and unpredictable swarm of jellyfish. It's not unpredictable, it's happened before in many different places. It's 100% predictable. Fukushima has caused global heating to run away because you kill the bases of the food chain, the bases of the oxygen chain, the bases of the carbon sequestering chain. And France, of course, doesn't have glaciers anymore. Same as British Columbia and many other places post-Fukushima. And the glacier waters would regulate the estuaries, the rivers, the streams, and then eventually the coastlines where it ends up, right? But they don't have that no more because Fukushima has caused this bizarre thing with ice, where the ice is not able to crystallize in the mountains anymore because there's so much radiation there. And so the water underneath it now, because of the radioactive fallout and then the global heating caused by breaking of the food chain worldwide, the bases of the food chain, the oxygen, the carbon sequestration chain, has now put us, last number of years we've covered many stories of France having to shut down multiple reactors, an absurd amount, because the rivers are so low and so hot. Now France, of course, 70% of its fresh water, which is dependent upon the glaciers, is used for the nuclear disease factories. And, you'll hear him posturing how France um, is special because it gets 70% of electricity from nuclear, which is absurd to suggest that that has some special redeeming qualities. France gets its uranium from Niger, and France started a civil war in Niger 60 years ago so it can take over its uranium deposits. So it has dirt cheap uranium, but it caused a civil war, destroyed the lives of millions of families, and destroyed the whole country. And they armed any rebellion groups that were showing up. And it's total pandemonium. So France can have cheap uranium, which is the cheapest part of nuclear, by the way. So, like, it breeds evil. That's everything with nuclear is wrong. The automatic shutdown of 4 units has no impact on the safety of the facility. Just give me 1 second here. I gotta try to fix something. It's giving me a problem here. Woe is Dana. All right. I think I might have got lucky. I don't really get lucky that often. And no impact on the safety of the facility, the safety of personnel, or the environment. Never hurt a fly. The hairs on the chin of a fly. Nothing. And this is something you see from nuclear. I'm taking the socks off. It's so hot here. I got all the windows wide open here. I can't run the air conditioning when I'm doing my show because it's too loud. It's, you know, the electronics are all isolated from. I have special isolators for that. Thank goodness I bought them back in the day. EDF said on his website. The media runs to their website to regurgitate anything the nuclear industry says. Nuclear industry can tell you the biggest lie on the planet, and the media will just regurgitate it word for word. There will be no dissenting voices allowed. The plant is fully shut after the incident with 2 units already offline for maintenance. So they had 2 disease factories offline, which meant infant mortality was going to rise because when you open a reactor, you're releasing all the radiation in the containment. All nuclear power plants, except for, all in France, are surrounded by farms, but almost all worldwide. There's 416 currently worldwide. Every one of them are surrounded by farms, except for maybe 5 or 6. They're showing you a forest fire, and then they get the word environment, as if nuclear is your solution, probably. Jellyfish breed faster when the water is warmer, and because the areas like the North Sea are becoming warmer post-Fukushima, the reproductive window is getting wider and wider. Nuclear Futures events in Australia crosses cultures and professional experiences. It's getting ugly. Nuclear Futures. The nuclear industry is unbelievably organized, by the way. I never seen so many terrorists in one place. You see them. There's all these terrorists showed up for the event. Pro-nuclear is terrorism, right? Like, you got to be a terrorist to work for the industry. You're not getting a job. Approximately 250 international degenerates and early career professional degenerates joined together in Stupid Land on the 4th and 6th of August 2025 at the inaugural Nuclear Energy Agency's Nuclear Futures Shaping Dialogue in a Changing World event. What you're looking at there is called social engineering, right? Shaping dialogue. So they're very sneaky what they do. You can't see it, but my head is like a fireball. Too stupid to wear a cap this morning. The event was held in collaboration with the University of New South Wales, Sydney, and the Nuclear Innovation Center, and the list goes on and on and on, to discuss global perspectives and key questions concerning the applications of nuclear technologies and innovation in society. Okay. To build a robust workforce and strong nuclear supply chain to meet the global need. Well, there is no need. Like the allegation that they're going to have small modular reactor nuclear renaissance is not true. They don't have small modular reactors. And they don't have any applications into the regulatory agency that are full applications, which is around 2 million pieces of paper. They don't have the infrastructure to support these types of things. This is what they're allegedly trying to build, a robust workforce and strong nuclear supply chain. There is no global need. Geothermal is the solution, not the most disgusting industry in human history. Geothermal is the future of humanity, and we have no options but to go there. Nuclear has to go away. It's not going to go willingly, but it will go. We can guarantee that much. The event started with a site visit to Australia's Nuclear Science Technology Organisation. They have so many organisations. The Open Pool Australia Light Water OPAL, Multipurpose Reactor, the Centre for Accelerator Science, CAS, the Australian Centre for Neutron Scattering, the National Research Cyclone, the National this, the National that. And they can do this because they have all these lawyers that will get up there and tell lies. If there was a spot for someone like me, right, where there was a descending voice, most of these people would defecate over themselves right away. And they would wipe it all over their bodies because they wouldn't want anybody to come close to them because they would feel that the cover was blown. Look at them. They all got a stupid smile on their face. And what do they got there? They got Professor Proton. So that big stupid, that's Professor Proton. And these people are insane. There's Professor Proton right there. And what do you think who do you think they're trying to appeal to with that? Do you think they're trying to appeal to an educated person? Do you think they're trying to appeal to people, mom and dads in their homes and businesses and business leaders? Or do you think they're trying to appeal to children? Because you know what I'm saying is right? And they all got the fakest smile that you can put on their faces. Every one of them are trying to look enthusiastic to get brownie points for the pro-nuclear community. That's all they're doing. None of it. These are not genuine. These are. All of them have to work to put that smile, that so-called smile, on their face. And look at this lady here, right? She does that. What? That's what she's doing. Most of them are doing the same thing. These are not smiles of assurance. These are smiles of, please don't fire me. Give me a promotion. These are smiles of desperation. These are not smiles. If you look at pictures of a wedding or pictures of a birthday or pictures of family around Christmas or something like that, when they're getting a picture in the smiles, you compare it to these smiles, they're completely different smiles. These are not smiles. These are deceptions. Some of them can't even smile. Let me give you a few examples because I'm like that sometimes. And when I smile, it's a wonderful thing. My smiles are real. Look at his face on this guy. Well, I'm doing it the hard way. Hang on. First off, I got to fix Dana. There's a good look on that one. You'll see what I mean in a second. Just bear with me. Don't lose faith in me yet. Hang on. Calm down. Charlie, calm down. Be boogly. Less than a gram, that's what they say. Yeah, let's look at some of these smiles. Let me explain that. Look at the two in the background first. Look at the smile on this guy. You're like, look at the smile on her. Look at the smile on that guy. They're like, what? What's a smile? You know I'm pro-nuclear. I don't know how to smile. Just make a face. What kind of face? Well, as long as it hasn't got something to do with a smile, I'll make it, I suppose. They're very... Look at her, right? Is this strangest looking smile I ever seen? What the hell is she, anyway? And the guy behind her, and the guy alongside of her. What's wrong with his teeth? Look at this guy here, like... I can't wait till Mom and Dad sees this picture, and they're going to think I'm good. Look at Slick up there. Hang on. Look at this guy up there. Look at that. Look at the guy with the red shirt on. Look at the guy, this second guy in the corner, like creepy looking over. Yeah, like he's. Look at her. She's not even smiling. Look at buddy down there, like another one of those weird faces. These are not genuine smiles. Okay. All right. Look at her. She's like, please, I don't want to get my picture taken. Somebody might see me. Right? That's not even a smile. That's like, hello. Look at this. That's not a smile. That's not a, whatever the hell that is. What's wrong with her eye, man? And look at the Slick in the background there. What kind of smile is that? She freaking scares me. Look at this lady. She's a shapeshifter. Look at that. Look at that. What am I looking at? She don't even got eyeballs. She's shapeshifting, eh? Look at it. Do you know who this guy back here is? That young fella back there? He's that pro-nuclear kid. We've covered him a number of times. He's so brainwashed. He's probably the only guy who got a real smile. He's like 18 years old. He's surrounded by all these predators. Man. But I mean, if that's not a budding serial killer right there, I don't know what is. That's what every one of these people are serial killers. Look at how the top of his eyes are level. Who? I can't even get my eyes to look like that. He actually looks like a cartoon, right? And they got to hold up this stupid caricature. What world we live in, boy. My goodness. Professor Proton. And to me, that's one of the professors, like a fighting words. When you say professor to me, that's fighting words. Professor Proton, I'm positive. So who are they trying to appeal to? Who exactly specifically are they trying to appeal to? They're trying to appeal to the most vulnerable of society, aren't they? That's right, Dana. Dana says he knows they're scumbags. Less than a gram. That's what they say. It's such a crazy industry, isn't it? And we made it to an hour and 10 minutes. That's pretty good after the start we had tonight. The morning started with an interactive fireside chat. We have climate lockdown here and Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, you're not even allowed to go hiking. It's a $25,000 fine. It's called climate lockdown. That's because of Fukushima. I'm so dehydrated, it's not funny. The fun doesn't end yet, though. Hang on. To discuss how the international community can further... So Nova Scotia says a $25,000 fine lighting fires, hiking, ATVs or anything in the woods, anything in the woods whatsoever is a $25,000 fine. Where I'm to, they said, well, it's a $50,000 fine the next day, and up to a $150,000 fine if you light a fire, and up to a year in jail. As if they never had a forest fire before, right? Because Nova Scotia done it, we're doing it. Who knows who else is next to do it? I know another country's just done the same thing. That's called climate lockdowns. That's coming. We've always had forest fires. If we have a lightning storm come through here, we're going to have 100 forest fires. Just because the government's too stupid to invest in water bombers don't mean the whole country should have to. And not like we haven't gave them all the money we got. They tax everything. They tax everything, including your pensions. You got to pay taxes on your pensions. The idea of the pension was you have some guaranteed income so you can, after breaking your body and your soul and your heart and everything else, at least you can have something to pay the bills with to live out the remainder of your life. But they tax that too. And then everything you spend on, they're going to tax that too. And they take that money, they can't even buy a few water bombers. Too busy spending it on chalets for themselves. No, the system is so rotten, but it's rotten from the corruption that's never been addressed. And the nuclear industry has a lot to do with it. Topics such as radioactive waste management, because it's like a banana and a potato chip, right? Nuclear security, because it's like walking in the sunshine and climbing a mountain. Nuclear safety, because it's like a potato. It's just they're just rotten people. Well, they look like people, but they don't have any of the attributes, do they? They don't have a single attribute of a human. After sharing inspiring stories. And then they got to come up with these pictures to make themselves feel good, to make themselves... But they probably had to beat some of them up to stand up there. These are crazies, eh? And I think the idea of the pictures is they use it to blackmail them or something. Or they just a record so they know these are demons, they can hire them for jobs, right? They're the worst that humans ever created. These are the worst humans imaginable. They look like me and you, but these are all serial killers. And they'll look in the mirror and tell themselves they're good people every day. They have to every day. Because otherwise they might do something drastic to themselves. They know they're not good people. They know they don't have any redeeming qualities. They know that they're animals and that they know that they're a curse on humanity. They know that the technology that they're promoting is a betrayal to their loved ones and their children and every species that we covet and don't covet. Jellyfish swarm forces French nuclear plant to shut down. How many jellyfish does it take to block up, say, 6.5 million one-ton pickup trucks worth of water a day? A system that moves that much water each day. How many jellyfish does it take to block that up, I wonder? And because we kill the ocean now, the ocean is, some species will proliferate, like jellyfish. Jellyfish are weak swimmers. So imagine how powerful the intakes are for a nuclear reactor. Each minute's got to suck in 4,500 one-ton pickup trucks of water. Imagine 4,500 one-ton pickup trucks of water driving past your front door every 60 seconds, every minute. 1,440 minutes a day. So imagine suggesting that very weak swimmers... Jellyfish are not swimmers. They go along with the tide, the currents. They don't swim. how nuclear kills fish. Just let me bring that up, because that irked me that somebody would say something like that. When it comes to journalists, you can expect that, unfortunately. Indian Point. Oh, wow, I found it. I'm so damn good. Booyah! That's how good I actually am. Just like that. There's nothing to it. Because I'm special. I'm smart. M-A-R-T, smart. How nuclear kills fish. New Jersey, New York. This is a heartwarming story about nuclear. Now, consider that every nuclear reactor has these particular attributes. Just bear with me. Every nuclear reactor does the same thing. Now, what happened to my... How did I get knocked out of kilt up there? I'm going to fix it. Dana, fix it. One of Indian Point's reactors sits atop a fault line, by the way. The aging plants have a devastating impact on surrounding fish populations. Now, this is I can't remember. It's not this Philadelphia Susquehanna River. I used to know the name of this river, but I can't remember for some reason. The aging plants have a devastating impact. So we're talking about 416 reactors do this every day for 80 years. Fish population. Environmental analysts in 2 states, New Jersey, New York, says the facility kills more than 17 billion fish each year. It doesn't stop there. We'll get a load of what a single billion reactor does. So these are 2 different sites, New York and New Jersey. 17 billion fish in New York and 9 billion in New Jersey. It's a smaller reactor. National Marine Fishery Services found out once through the cooling system or vacuum up trillions of newly hatched fish and destroying those in the heat exchangers. This is not all the ways, but this is a bunch of different ways that a single reactor kills species. This is strong evidence that the decline in the fish stocks along the entire northeast Atlantic seaboard and everywhere else worldwide is due more to the destruction of the baby fish than the overfishing of adults by the commercial fleets. The Indian Point plant, same as every other nuclear plant, sucks in 2.5 billion gallons of water each day and kills another 2 billion juvenile and mature fish in the screens or in the thermal plumes. And that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission estimated more than 300 billion baby fish are killed each year when they're sucked into the 40-foot wide intake pipes. So the intake pipes are doing all of this. So jellyfish don't have a chance because they can't even swim. But look at the carnage that each of these sites are doing. Trillions of newly hatched fish. 300 billion baby fish. Billions of adult fish. And we're talking about sturgeons, we're talking about turtles, we're talking about all kinds of species. 5 countries account for 71% of the world's nuclear generation capacity. The stenogram. I gotta hear that song again soon. It's going. My brain is not working. I gotta hear that song. I'm gonna play it again. I can't take it anymore. I gotta play Less Than a Gram one more time. It's bugging me. I got it in my brain. I just want to hear it one more time tonight. I gotta go get some water for my ice. It's only a 2-minute song. Less Than a Gram. I'll be right back. Put some headphones on, listen to it.
Right beside old Unit 3 sits a shell-marked waste you see, Tanks of resin stacked with care, holding what the pumps caught there. TEPCO field 2 plans to show. One says yes, the other no. Each awaits a coming call. Neither clears the path at all. Less than a gram, that's what they've got from Unit 2, and that was a lot. Fuel remains in buried rooms while they measure water blues. Early 30s, so they say, when the work might get underway. Decommission down the line, mid-century's hopeful sign. 880 tons remain, none retrieved from 3's domain. They debate what space to claim, still the Buildington stays the same. Less than a gram, that's what they've got from Unit 2, a careful shot, not from 3, not from 4. Still they work around the door. Less than a gram, still asking for
How can you not love that? How does that work? How can somebody make a song like that? It's crazy. I put a link into it at the beginning of the show tonight. You can go listen to it, download it, put it on your children's devices, make the world a better place. It's that simple. If you try to take a nuclear scientist here, they'll claw the eyes out of your head. You try to take a nuclear academic there, I don't know. I don't think a nuclear scientist is capable of clawing the eyes out of anybody's head or beating anybody up, but they might actually try in desperation. I can hear them screaming, "No! No, please! I'm sorry!" Five countries account for 71% of the world's disease factories. You can't call it nuclear power. The appropriate way to describe a nuclear plant is a disease factory, particularly the fuel pools. Once you start taking reactor cores and putting them in a fuel pool, no containments, they're splitting atoms into the environment. It's a biological weapon. It's a chemical weapon, biological weapon. It's an assault on the 8 million species. It's an injury to the 8 million species. And none of the species, nothing with replicating cells has an autoimmune trigger to defend against it. Why would you allow that to continue? Goodness gracious, why would you? There is no benefit. You're going to destroy every species. You don't need meltdowns. You don't need nuclear action. You don't need nuclear dumping. You just need fuel pools to ultimately exterminate the entire planet. It happens in increments over time, but it will happen. It's unstoppable. The emissions never go away, and there's nothing on the planet that has a trigger immune system that can defend against it. Why, oh goodness gracious, why are we doing this? Please stop doing this. Please come to your senses and fight this industry. I don't care how you do it. You need to fight back. You're wasting precious time and not fighting back. You have to fight back. You have to come up with a way to fight back. You can't pretend this is not happening. Oh, I'm way too thirsty. we got going on here? Hi, everybody. Hugs for everybody. I think we're going to wrap it up. I got heat stroke. Clearly, I got heat stroke. You don't get any more goofier than I am tonight, which is okay, though, actually. I like being goofy. I should be goofier more often. Lighten the load a little tiny bit, shouldn't I? How did... See, the Geiger counter's not center again. How is that happening? How is that even possible? Here we go. I'm just gonna call it a night. I still got heat stroke. I'm late getting the show up and working. It didn't stop us, mind you, but hopefully, I think we're supposed to get, I don't mind summer, don't get me wrong, but I think we're supposed to get, hopefully, rain by Friday, because we got forest fires out of control. We got communities, we got 14 communities or something that have to run away, that ran away from their homes here, right, not very far from me, just a few miles from me. A very poor air quality down here on top of that. We had a blood moon again tonight because of the smoke. And nothing. I know James posted another song, so woohoo, that's a win. We're going to play that and call it a night. I'm going to come back and close the poll after. Is South Korea right to still ban radioactive food from 8 deadly Japanese prefectures? Oh yeah, Dana. Oh yeah. We barely got any likes, barely got any votes, barely got any viewers. And the nuclear industry is just terrified of anybody that's of good people like you. They're terrified of honest and sincere people like you. They're mortified of bastards like me. See, that's the third time that I fixed my Geiger counters. So are they in my computer? Is that what's going on? What else? I've never seen that before. So clearly they must be in my computer. Just messing with me, and we're still here, Dana. Well, so am I. The intimidation is not going to work on me. All you're going to do is make sure my resolve is ultimate. Critical until I'm not. Nice one. Oh, he just posted it. 2 minutes ago. I'm deep into that one. Hugs for everybody. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow. We'll see everybody on the next show, hopefully tomorrow night. Like if I got heat stroke tomorrow night, I'm probably not going to do a show. I'm just going to rest. I don't know if I'm capable of that, mind you. But I'm not very impressed with heat stroke. It's not a very nice feeling. But I always feel better when I do a show. I lost my train of thoughts. Let's just listen to the song, not worry about it. I'll pick up tomorrow night where I left off tonight. And I'm not thinking clear tonight, unfortunately. And maybe that's a good thing. Have a great night. Hugs for everybody. Extra hugs for James Lucet, for producing the music, which is just such a blessing, such a gift, and such a weapon. Take care.
Semi, baby. Sealed core, sealed lips. Yeah, that's what you told him. Hey, yeah. Factory module dropped on site. 3 cranes swing in the cold floodlight. New scale badge on my jacket sleeve. Said low follow like you wouldn't believe. Halo in the core so tight. Passive safety if the pumps lose fight. Told the press it's a set and forget. I saw the heat map, I'm not there yet. I'm critical until I'm not. Full power, baby, then I pull the fly. From first neutron to the last decay. You can't spin me when I walk away. I'm critical until I'm not. All green bars till the rods get dropped. Your steel core dreams just a ticking shot. I'm critical until I'm not. Passive cooling on a chalkboard sketch. Natural circulation won't clear the fetch. Decay heat tank in a single shell. You call it safe but just wanna upsell. Micro grid hook up on a desert base. Transport cast with a line steel face. Barge reactor tied on the dock at night. Said modular build like it's watertight. Integrated steam gen locked in place. Thermal hydraulic test running haste. Containment module got a shiny skin, but I've seen leaks where you sealed it thin. I'm critical until I'm not. Full power, baby, then I pull the slide. From first neutron to the last decay. You can't spin me when I walk away. I'm critical until I'm not. All green bars till the rods get dropped. Your steel core dreams just a ticking shot. I'm critical until I'm not. Long cycle refuel is a pretty phrase. When the core gas builds and the coolant strays. Root cuz buried in a slide deck spin. Call it non-event and you still sign in. EMP test, let the switchboard red. Controlling trip and the watchdog's dead. Off-grid demo for the 5-star brass. Stuck from hit fast when the flow won't pass. You can keep your crown in the trade press shot. I'm out the gate and I burn that flow. I'm critical until I'm not. Full power, baby, then I pull the slide. From first neutron to the last decay. You can't spin me when I walk away. I'm critical until I'm not. All green bars till the rods get dropped. Your steel core dreams just a ticking shot. I'm critical until I'm not. I'm critical until I'm not. I'm critical until I'm not. See you at your next flawless commissioning day.